YouTube readers. I suppose I should start this video off with an apology and a massive request for forgiveness, because yes, I know it's been about 5 weeks since my last video, and I also then need to apologize because my last video was a to be read list and I have not managed to read those books. What I have read, sadly only two, are my course books. Now, I was wanting to know if any of you guys would want to know about just general what I've studied in my English literature courses, because they might be different to overseas. But what I've read this month is Disgrace by J.M. Coetzee. This was part of my South African literature module. It's written in a post-apartheid era, set in Salem, and it follows the life of David Lurie, who was, I suppose he is a professor at a university in the beginning of the book, and spoiler alert, he gets fired basically. But yeah, it's a really good book. It covers very serious topics. It's not a very comfortable book to read, but it's a very enlightening and a very good book. It's very well written. It's written such that you're able to see things from other people's sides, because you're not purely given David Lurie's perception, and you're not allowed into his mind almost, because J.M. Coetzee, the way he writes it, you're not allowed into the way he thinks. So yeah, really good. I would recommend this. And then the other book I read for my English course was Beloved by Toni Morrison, and this was for my World Literature Today course. I'd read The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison for a previous course, and I'd enjoy that. But Beloved I found very difficult. I found it almost inaccessible, purely because there was so much going on. I'm still not convinced as to what was going on in the book. I still don't feel like I completely understood it. So this one I think I might need to read later on and see if I get it again, maybe if I read it the second time around. But yeah, so those were the two books I read this month. Yes, I know, really bad, but university, guys, like, it's a real struggle. But apart from that, I thought today's video I would do my top 10 favorite books. This has been the biggest struggle to narrow it down to 10, because I love reading. I've read a ridiculous amount of books, so narrowing it down was just almost impossible. But I've got 10. I may watch this video in like a week's time and be like, oh my word, I forgot that book. Oh my word, I forgot that book. But you know, that's how life happens. So at the moment, these are the top 10 books I can think of. Books/series, because, yeah, in no particular order except my first one, being my favorite. Number one would be the Harry Potter series, and I'm not going to show those all because there are 7 books, and I don't think I can hold all 7 books at the same time. But Harry Potter, written by J.K. Rowling. I think many of you have heard of it. If not, you've watched the movies. Yeah, I think I grew up with it. Like, I was the same age as the actors and the characters in the book went along. So when I followed it, it was almost like it followed my life. It's been, as I think I said in my first video, Harry Potter is like my life. My theme of my 21st was a Harry Potter theme. So, you know, I'm just a major fan of Harry Potter. Then, surprisingly, there are 2 books on this list that come from my course, because I don't particularly enjoy the books that my lecturers choose, but yeah. So the first of those is Skinny Legs and All by Tom Robbins. This caused major controversy when our class was studying it, because a lot of people were like, oh, it's going against my religion, I can't read this book. It's a very weird book, but it's weird in a good way, and it asks all the right questions. It asks the questions that beg one to think deeper and to question yourself. It's very weird in that there are 4 inanimate objects which are characters and can talk, and it initially when I read the book I was like, sorry, what? But yeah, I think the first chapter is really difficult to read because it is so weird, but after that, I mean, it's a fantastic book, and I recommend it to everyone who asks me for a good book to read. So, Skinny Legs and All. Then, and the second one from my course is We Need to Talk About Kevin by Lionel Shriver. This has been made into a movie as well, although as it is, I preferred the book to the movie. This is basically a series of letters written by a mom to a dad. The mom is, can't even remember, Eva. That's really bad. Eva Kachadorian writes to the father of Kevin after Kevin has killed 7 of his fellow high school students. Sorry, I was just checking that it was 7. 7 of his high school students with a bow and arrow. She kind of questions as to whether it was the way they brought Kevin up that led him to do this. There's a major plot twist right at the end. I really enjoyed this book. I loved the way it was written. I would recommend this again to anyone. Okay, then these next 2 I don't have a physical hard copy of because I borrowed them from other people. No, these next 3, because the third one someone is borrowing. I am lending it to someone at the moment. I always get those mixed up. The first of these is The Pact, and that's by Jodi Picoult. That I read during my gap year. It follows the lives of 2 teenagers, basically who have committed suicide, and it kind of questions as to why they did it. Was it a pact? Did they decide to do it together? Yeah, so I just really enjoyed it. It was, as I said in my first video as well, I'm a Jodi Picoult fan. I know that's cliche, but I am. And then the second one is a memoir written by Cupcake Brown. It's called A Piece of Cake. She was called Cupcake by her mom, and her mom died at some point, and it just follows her life living on the street and moving between like very poor places, and yeah, it kind of just, it's a memoir, so it describes her life, and it's very sad but also very uplifting at the same time, and it's definitely worth a read. I would suggest that to anybody. And then the last that I don't have a copy of is Miranda Hart's biography. I actually lent that to Velvet and Vibranium just recently. It is amazing. If you don't know who Miranda Hart is, go check her out now, because she is the funniest person in the world, and I can definitely relate to her. Basically, her motto in life is why exercise when you can gallop, which is fantastic. So her biography is hilarious. She has you up doing things in public. If you're reading the book in public, she has you like doing all sorts of things throughout the book as well, which is really good. And I really enjoy biographies, so Miranda Hart's was definitely one of my favorites. And then my next book on my list is The Help by Kathryn Stockett. This, I think I read the book after watching the movie, and the movie was amazing. It definitely brought me to tears. But this book was even better, as always with books and movies. I don't know if you've seen the movie, I don't know if you've heard of the book, but basically it follows the lives of various maids in America and how they are treated by their white female, or the mothers of the households. So I will just read the blurb to you. There's Aibileen raising her 17th white child and nursing the hurt caused by her son's own tragic death. Minnie, whose cooking is nearly as sassy as her tongue, and White Miss Skeeter, home from college, who wants to know why her beloved maid has disappeared. Skeeter, Aibileen, and Minnie, no one would believe they'd be friends. Fewer still would tolerate it. But as each woman finds the courage to cross boundaries, they come to depend and rely upon one another. Each is in search of a truth, and together they have an extraordinary story to tell. So, amazing book. Go give this a read. Then I have Soul Surfer. Sorry, I got confused. My list was weird. Soul Surfer. This is another biography, or I think it's a this is definitely a biography, it's not an autobiography, about Bethany Hamilton, the swimmer. Again, this has been made into a movie, but I'd read this book long before it was made into a movie. A Hawaiian surfer whose arm gets bitten off by a shark the one day while she's swimming, and basically it's her struggle to start surfing again with one arm, and she's amazing. I mean, it's a true story. Bethany Hamilton is an amazing world surfer. Like, she's one of the top in the world, and she has one arm. So yeah, this again another biography. And then I have The Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger. This is my dad's copy, which he gave to me, and I really enjoy it because it's like old and I don't know, it's really cool. A lot of people who had to study this book at school hate it. I never had to study it at school. I read it purely because I wanted to. I also really enjoyed the Spud series, and my dad said it would be quite similar, so I read this. Really enjoyed this. It's a short read. Definitely would suggest this to anyone who is looking for something similar to Spud to read. And then the last book is The Book Thief by Markus Zusak. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but whatever. I think I initially picked up this book because I love anything set in World War II. And I mean, the first thing on the back of the book is 1939 Nazi Germany. That, I think, I didn't even read the rest of it. I was like, yep, reading that. It's narrated by death. And the way it is written is so incredibly profound, and it's just, wow. This book is amazing, and yeah, definitely give this a read if you like anything set in World War II, or if you like anything sad. Yeah. So, those were my top 10 favorite books of at the moment, because they could change, and I could read another book and be like, oh, that needs to go on my top 10, but I don't have space. So yeah, it may end up being top 20 at some point, but things happen. I read, books are good. Yeah, I promise to make another video very, very soon, and I promise to improve my reading and to get some of those books that I said I was going to read. I hope you have a very good reading time. I'm not going to say week, because I'm not going to promise that I'll give you another video in a week. But yes, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, comment, subscribe, give it a like, all that stuff. I'll see you very soon. Bye.